It's the largest 36-hole lead at the Masters in history, and Rory McIlroy went berserk. 6 birdies in his final 7 holes to bust this thing wide open heading into the weekend. And now we got to ask ourselves here on Golfbet, recapping the second round, guys, is this thing over? Is 6 shots too much, Will? The answer feels like it's yes.
Feels like it's yes, Chris. But if anyone knows how to mess with a lead at Augusta National, it's Rory McIlroy. Remember, last year he's up by 5 with 8 holes to go, and it almost wasn't enough. That being said, man, Rick, he looks like a changed man. It took him 17 years to get in that green jacket, and it does not look like he wants to give it back anytime soon.
I don't think it's going to take another 17 years for him to get another one. Yeah, this was impressive. I mean, the way that he started this round, 3 early birdies to kind of get the momentum rolling, and just when we were thinking that this event was wide open, he goes out and he rattles off those 6 birdies late. I think it's interesting. He missed 6 fairways in the second round, and he played those holes at 4 under par. So really got away with that. I think we are at least at this point now where Rory McIlroy is going to decide this championship one way or another. He's either going to win this by multiple shots, and if it's not Rory McIlroy that is wearing a green jacket again on Sunday afternoon, it's probably going to be because he gave it away or he came back to the field. So he is very much now the storyline one way or another for the final 36.
Chris, we talked about yesterday in our recap show that Rory shoots 5 under, comes into the interview room and says, I should have shot 2 under based on how I hit it. He was kind of spraying it all over the place. And even today, you saw he's just going full send, especially on the par 5s, into the pine straw on 13, birdie, into the pine straw on 15, birdie. You think eventually some of that stuff is going to catch up with him, but it really does just seem like this is one where the guy's catching some good breaks, and you don't need, when you're Rory McIlroy, you don't need to catch that many good breaks. You look at what he did on 17 that brought the patrons to their feet. I mean, it looks like he's going to make bogey at best apart. He chips in from, across town to get to 5 and then stuffs it on 18. So, yeah, Rory McIlroy does not need a lot of help to win golf tournaments, especially this one. But through 36 holes, he seems to be getting a few good breaks.
I think you have to realize on the front of how wild and erratic he was. He did this exact same thing last year when he won the Masters. All the wayward shots and then figuring out how to make par, how to make birdie in some cases. For the sake of the argument, and for anybody who wants to root for chaos this weekend, is it over? No, it's not. Anybody can blow a 6-shot lead. We have to look at this basically as 2 halves. The first half, Rory got the breaks with some errant shots. Yes. Logic says it's not going to happen the final 36 holes, but I want to go back to what I thought this conversation was going to be about an hour and a half ago when Rory was on 12 and he was 6 under par. I was saying to myself, man, anybody who's under par right now can win this golf tournament. I felt that way at that point. So if we can get to a point at some time, Rick, say on Saturday, let's map out a realistic chance for anybody on this first page of the leaderboard. I would say if anybody has a chance, they're going to be on this first page of the leaderboard. At what point in the round on Saturday do you think things have to turn to what degree for this to actually be a golf tournament?
I think we will know a lot about the future of this golf tournament when Rory McIlroy gets the Raymond corner on Saturday. If he is still holding a 6-shot lead, a 5-shot lead, it's probably pretty safe. That's where there's trouble lurking, right? 11 is historically the hardest hole at Augusta National. Things can always go sideways at number 12. I mean, we saw him blow a drive into the pine straw on 13 today. Things can have issues there like they did last year on Sunday for Rory McIlroy. So that's really the point. And then if somebody does go out and starts to apply pressure, I mean, the chase pack, the winner without Rory McIlroy market is going to heat up because they are log jammed behind him. If somebody goes out and turns in 3 under or 4 under, while Rory is either stuck in neutral or maybe struggles around amen corner and this gets a little bit smaller, yeah, that would be an interesting path for someone to take this away from Rory McIlroy. But I think, Will said it nicely earlier. He's getting the breaks and he just banks those at this point, right? I mean, yes, there's going to be some regression, but Rory McIlroy's baseline is already so high. It feels really difficult that anybody's going to overtake him at this point.
I had a little coughing fit there, guys, as I got just taken over by Rory McIlroy's incredible performance here.
The emotions.
Listen, I think if you're Rory, you go into this weekend saying, I need 36 holes of even par. Yeah. I mean, I think 12 under probably wins this golf tournament, knowing that this course was playing so hard yesterday. And then they came into it today, and it clearly softened up. The purple patches on the fairway became green. There was a little bit more receptivity in some of these greens that I expect will evaporate very quickly tomorrow and certainly into Sunday. So this course probably today played as easy as it will play. That's how you get a 65 from Rory, and you're seeing a bunch of other guys in the 60s. I don't know that there are going to be a ton of rounds in the 60s over the next 36 holes, but yeah, I think that's the approach, and it's hard. You get into that middle ground where you don't want to take your foot off the gas, given that the aggressive play is what has yielded such great scores for Rory so far. But I do think 12 under is going to win this golf tournament, and so if he goes about it and kind of manages the misses with that mindset, knowing, hey, I can go and try and get mine on the par fives, maybe make a couple putts here and there, and make everyone else try and go get it, which is the danger zone at Augusta National, when you try and get aggressive when you shouldn't. I think that's the recipe for success, and it is going to require some self-inflicted wounds from Rory to make this an interesting tournament in terms of who's going to win.
Well, feel free to cough. I just muted you on the program because we're going to need you for this conversation right here. If you're a bettor, you're looking at, let's say you think 2 or 3 of these players can catch Rory McIlroy. Look at these odds, guys. These odds are to win a golf tournament when you're sitting in the top 5, and you only need one player, albeit Rory McIlroy, to fall apart a little bit. Some of these players have really juicy numbers. So let's talk about who you think on this board maybe has a chance to catch Rory, assuming Rory plays pedestrian. Let's say he finishes 10, 11 under, doesn't get under par on the weekend like Will is mentioning. Shane Lowry had the quietest under par round today that I saw. Same with Sam Burns. Those two, to me, seem like the least realistic if I'm looking at the top 6 of this board, Rick.
Well, it's interesting, right? You know, Lowry has put himself in this position frequently, but hasn't really gotten across the finish line since, you know, the 2019 Open Championship. I look at 2 names here that stand out to me. Patrick Reed, who we spoke about at length last night. I made the case that as the week goes on and the course gets more difficult, that is where really he is able to separate. And to Will's point, you know, this is the easiest day we're probably going to get this week, and he matched his opening round 69 with another 69. I was impressed with the way that he not only controlled his distance, but he controlled his spin. He accessed a lot of pins with that ground spin, right? Hit a draw, let it work right to left when it gets on the putting surface, and give yourself a chance. So I think he is incredibly interesting. And then Cam Young. I mean, Cam Young was going nuts right alongside Rory McIlroy, and it just didn't feel like it because of what Rory was doing. Cam Young was really struggling out of the gate. I think he shot a 40 on his opening 9 this week, and he has just been dynamite since. He's 8 under par since then, and he left a couple out there, guys. You know, a few short putts that hit the lip. He's usually a very solid putter. So I think Cam Young is very intriguing to work his way up the board over the final 36.
I thought we were going to go 2 for 2. I had 2 names in mind as well. Patrick Reed is a clear top choice for me. It's understandable why he is the closest to Rory in the odds. I selfishly, as a fan, I was hoping, or a patron this week, I guess, was hoping for that Rory Reed final pairing like we had in 2018. Maybe we'll get it on Sunday. But if this place gets firm and fast and gets a little crispy, I think that plays into Patrick Reed's hands. As Rick said, the second choice for me is going to be Justin Rose. He was great in his post-round comments today. Over by the clubhouse, just embracing the historical moment. Only 8 guys have ever won the Masters the year after they finished a runner-up. He's still the only guy other than Ben Hogan to lose this thing twice in a playoff. There's so much that you could take as scar tissue that he's really compartmentalizing and say, it allows me to still feel more free and just enjoy my time around here at age 45. So I thought that he was really impressive in rounds of 70 and 69 that for much of the afternoon today seemed like they were going to put him within striking distance of a potential green jacket. Now, you know, Rory has gone and hit the NOS basically and got out in front of everyone. Again, we're living in a world where Rory has to come back to the field a little bit, but of that group, if you chop his name off the board, and if we're just looking at Patrick Reed and Sam Burns at 6 under leading this golf tournament, I'd be really interested in Justin Rose because I do think that he is doing a great job of dealing with his near misses at Augusta National and fine-tuning a game that clearly is a really good fit for this course heading into the weekend.
To put a bow on the Rory and winner conversation, let me put it this way, guys, because Rick, what you said about Cam Young and Rory McIlroy kind of just jogged my memory in the way that I think everybody should look at this. Let's start on number 16 when Rory makes birdie, birdie, birdie to end. Cam Young missed 3 very makeable birdie putts on 16, 17, and 18. Let's put it this way. If he makes all 3 of those and Rory doesn't make his birdies, doesn't chip in, that is a 6-shot swing. Rory is 9 under par, and Cam Young is 7 under par. It's a world of what ifs, but that's just 2 players playing together. You got a whole odds board, a whole leaderboard that could happen with anybody. If that kind of swing and those short amount of holes can happen with 2 guys that quickly, it can happen with anybody out there, Will. Do you agree with that sentiment?
I like that you just kind of stuffed a 6-leg parlay in there to tighten things up. 3 over here, 3 over there. If they all went together, we'd be all having a different tournament.
Well, because Cam Young had 3 makeable putts and missed all of them.
Yes, I think if this thing is going to get interesting, it's not going to be the slow bleed or guys accruing birdies. It's going to be the big number. We saw Bryson triple 18 to miss the cut. There have been other moments. We saw the carnage yesterday on the 15th hole where 3 different players, we had a quadruple bogey 9 hitting into the water. And we saw what Rory did, frankly, last year coming down the stretch, hitting that, unconscionable shot on the 13th hole, turning a birdie into a double. Those are the big chunk plays that I think we're going to require in order for this thing to get close. It's interesting. There's a penalty area down by what they call the Delta counter, left of 2. Mm-hmm. But other than that, really, there's no water on the course until the 11th hole. And then you get into Amen corner in 15 and 16. And that's where the penalty strokes can really add up. So even that part, I feel like Rory can play a bit more defensively. It's not like you can avoid the prospect of double bogey. This is a course where the margin between a 12-foot makeable birdie putt and, oh my gosh, I'm short-sighted and I'm scrambling just to have a 20-footer for par is razor thin, so you can add up quickly. But I do feel like a guy of his experience making his 18th Masters start can kind of position and plot his way around the course to avoid the big miss, which Rick, I think, is going to be so key to him padding or at least protecting that lead in Saturday's 3rd round.
Yeah, avoid the big number, right? I don't love going into a prevent defense on Saturday morning, but I think that's kind of what Rory McIlroy realized, especially after, it is fresh in the mind how many doubles he made last year. He knows that if you avoid that, you are probably going to be crowned the 2026 Masters champion. So yes, I agree with Will. Avoid the big number, pick off a par 5 here and there, and smooth sailing. But easy for me to say. I don't have to hit the shots.
I will say, sorry, Chris. Yeah. Shout out to Jack Nicklaus, by the way. His pregame speech to Rory worked very well, clearly. And Rory talked to Amanda Balianos and said, what did Jack tell you? He said, no blanking doubles. That's all you need. Just don't make the doubles. He had 4 of them last year, including 2 in the final round. Still lived to tell the tale. Honestly, that's another way to look at it. We were talking before about, I think, the 12 under wins. If Rory makes no worse than bogey over the next 36 holes, I don't see him losing. Yeah, and so that's a different way to look at it. Again, you don't want to be prevent defense going into half of the tournament, but man, you need a lot. A lot's going to have to go wrong for Rory for this thing to get to anyone else's hands.
Yeah, because he's going to have plenty of birdies, even with those multiple bogeys if he has those. Let's talk about Scottie, because I know people are going to want to bet on Scottie this weekend, whatever the market is. To win, we know that's out of reach, even though it's a mild 63-1 when he's sitting at even par with so many players ahead of him, let alone Rory being 12 shots up. Rick, I don't like this top 5 market even. You're going to give me less than 4-1 odds when he has so many players ahead of him. It is only 5 shots, I believe, for him to get into a top 5 and tie right now, but I would stay away from anything Scottie Scheffler for the weekend just because of all the errant shots that we saw and just the lack of consistency, especially, again, week in, week out with those irons.
Yeah, the putter hasn't been particularly strong either. The problem is you're never going to get a deal on Scottie Scheffler, right? Like that just doesn't exist. I would be interested in like matchup markets. I think even though he's going to be a significant favorite, there's a case to be made that he's lost at least 2.5 shots to the field on the putting surfaces this week. He's driving it really well, which I think is a great sign. I think that Scottie is obviously going to improve his position, but there's not enough juice out there for the top 10 number. There's not enough juice out there for the top 5 number, especially with the number of players in between him and those positions. it makes it much more difficult. So yeah, I'm probably not touching Scottie over the course of the weekend, but I'll be watching every single shot that he hits for sure.
I will say I'm kind of bullish on Scottie, as Rick said, in the matchup market. I think of this board here that you have, Chris, the top 10 price at plus money at least intrigues me a little bit. He has 4 straight top 10 finishes at the Masters, including 2 wins. So I could see him kind of moving up the board. He's, I think, T24 right now heading into the weekend. But in talking to him after his round, he really wasn't that down on himself. It was the first time in 11 rounds that he was over par at Augusta National. That snapped what would have been the 3rd best streak in Masters history behind Tiger and John Rahm. So it's been a while since he was over par. He hit the ball in the water on 13 and 15, leading to 2 bogeys. But he basically said, listen, I hit a bunch of good putts. They didn't go in. The only shot he said he wanted back was the second on 13. He wished he made a different decision there. But there was more glass half full from Scottie than maybe I was expecting for a 2 over 74 that essentially shot him out of the tournament. So I do think heading into the 3rd round, yes, you're going to pay a premium. They're never hurting for Scottie Scheffler money, but I do think that there's reason to expect that he will move up this leaderboard over the next 36 holes because of just how he's comporting himself and also just how his game fits with what will be a difficult Augusta National. Some guys are going to fall back. I don't think Scottie's one of them.
It's just a casual way of saying that Scottie Scheffler is probably going to complete the career Grand Slam this year. It's basically what you just said.
I mean, listen, my track record with guessing when guys will complete the career Grand Slam is not great from last year. So I'll plead the 5th on that one until we get to Shinnecock. But I do think that for this place and this course, the more rounds you get, the cream's going to rise to the top. And Scottie Scheffler, even though he's been a little slower the last 36 holes, is still very much the cream of the PGA Tour.
Let's put a bow on this whole thing and give the bettors, the viewers, some more options of making some decent money. I've got top 5 finishes here for players who are, this was the list, by the way, I'm laughing, that I said had a chance to win when Rory was on 12 and he was 6 under. Look at all these guys who are under par. They can still win the tournament. No, they can finish top 5 though. So Rick, who on this board? Cam Young seems easy, so let's not include him. Who do you like on this board that could be a good value for you? Top 5.
I think there's a couple that stand out to me. Chris Gotterup, who is making his debut this week, has performed admirably. 3 under par through 2 rounds. We knew that he had this skill set. What we've learned about Chris Gotterup in his young career is that the way that he plays works on a lot of different golf courses, and he has a lot of different ways to get to the top of the board. I mean, he's won golf tournaments losing strokes putting, losing strokes on approach, losing strokes off the tee. I mean, it's incredible. He has a lot of paths to the top of the board. So I like that number at over 5-1. And then Matt Fitzpatrick, he hung around just like as all this chaos and madness is happening around him and guys are going low and the crowds are going, the patrons are going nuts out there. And he's still a major champion under par. He's a lot longer than he's ever been. He's as well-rounded as anybody in the world, probably not named Scottie Scheffler and Tommy Fleetwood. So those are the 2 that stand out to me that have, I think, have had good 36 holes, and I still think that they can improve on that over the course of the final 36.
I would go 2 ways. One that I was probably wrong on, one that I'm still trying to manifest. Gotterup, Rick, as you said, is really impressing. I admit, in listening to him pre-tournament, I thought that guy was about to get shellacked by this golf course.
I did too.
Because he came in and he seemed so confident. He said in his press conference, he's like, yeah, there's not really much about this course that, I'm concerned about, that I feel like isn't going to be a good fit. And I'm like, yeah, buddy, this is your first time here. Everyone has a learning curve. It's like the Curtis Strange, Tiger Woods, you'll learn clip. Chris Gotterup is learning very quickly and was really impressive watching him today in a marquee pairing. To really rise up and get to 3 under and put himself in position. So I do think that he's going to continue on a good path in his first Masters appearance, even though it does seem like the green jacket is a little bit out of reach. And the other one is, guys, I've been in the bag for Xander the entire week. I'm not going to stop now. He hit the ball so well today, and especially on that second 9. And you talked about Cameron Young missing putts, Chris. Xander could not buy anything on these greens. And if he continues to hit it where he hit it today, he is going to move up that leaderboard, and maybe not top 5 at plus 400, but certainly top 10, I feel like is very much within reach for a world-class player who I think I'm probably wrong on picking him as a pre-tournament winner, but he's not exactly going to disappoint in terms of what this is going to look like at a Wikipedia box a couple years from now, let's say.
He got a bad break on 13 with that downhill lie in the bunker too. That was no man's land, and Akshay Bhatia had the exact same shot. Both of them put it in the water. All right, guys. It was fun here tonight. We'll see if that lead. Let's do this before we go. What's the lead for Rory tomorrow? I'm going to go 4.
I was going to say 4. That was my number.
I kind of think it's 8.
I thought you were going to say 9.
I mean, this is a different Rory. I don't know. Listen, I think this might be a historic runaway. He looks really good.
All right. We'll see
He does.